I've just been percolating,
Mm.
stewing in the reactions to the election and having them just wash upon me like seashells just washing upon the shores of a tide. And I can I am coming I'm beginning to come to a conclusion because this is something I said last week, you guys, and some people are like, "No, I don't think so." Da, 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 da." What I said was that with the crazy loss, the crazy L that the Democrats took in this past federal election, some people are like, "Oh my god, they're gonna like totally like change their game and do everything and try to win, blah 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 blah." And what I said is there is going to be some faction that is actually focused on winning, and they're going to try to do a course correction. Now, as we've started to get further out from the results of the election and more reactions, more fallout, I'm beginning to see a pattern emerge. And I think that pattern is that, like I said before, there are going to be the true believers of the dogma, the true ideologues, and there's many different ways you could call this ideology, but whatever it is the toxic and abusive behavior that is characterized in our current progressive culture. I like to call them capital P progressives, like dogmatic, really dogmatic, woke progressives, whatever term you want to use. I think we all know the kind of type that I'm talking about, right? I fully believe that they are going to double down. And because they're going to be doubling down, we're
Mm.
already seeing this. I think it is going to be incredibly difficult for the Democrats to reform to the point that I think it's going to take them like 10 years to get their act together if they are lucky. Because the problem is that we are beginning to see more instances where Democrats are essentially allowing themselves on different levels of their party to be ruled from the bottom. And there's been a few instances of this. There are rumors that the reason why Kamala Harris didn't go on Joe Rogan's show, which was a huge loss and mistake, was because she was worried about backlash from younger progressive staffers.
Wow.
Then there was an incident that happened. There was I can't remember what district he represents, but Representative Seth Moulton came out and made a comment after the election saying, I can't remember the exact quote, but something along the lines of reflecting on why the Democrats lost and saying like, as a father, I'm very concerned about a bunch of boys running over my daughters on the soccer field. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. So what he's referring to is the issue of trans girls in female sports and how that's very contentious and extremely, extremely off-putting to the majority of the electorate. Um, and so here he is, this man trying to have a reflective moment, trying to think about how we can move forward. And you know what happened after he said that? Very salient admission, Armin. You know what happened? There was a rebellion within his younger staffers, and his campaign manager resigned. And there was immediate backlash within his staff, just proving the point, actually proving the point. Because the problem is that if I'm being very honest, people my age and younger have been raised as an activist generation. This is, who you are is what cause you are behind. It used to kind of be like, oh, we have the punks and the jocks and the blah 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 and what music you're into and all that stuff. Now it's like, what cause are you behind? How do you get social capital because of what cause you stand behind and how you project that outwards likely on social media. You know what I mean? And so that is going to make it so much harder for there to be a course correction and for there to be a reformation. Because there are going to be people who are older and wiser who actually want to do the work of winning, and they are going to be very held up by their younger staffers who are leading them around by the nose, which is so interesting. It's so interesting when you think about other phenomenon in history where the youth decided to lead the nation around by the nose. Um I'm thinking about a lot of Marxist revolutions in particular. It didn't go well. It actually kind of sucked. And that's why I think it's going to take so long for them to reform and get their act together and actually start winning. Um among other reasons. But that's that's what I'm thinking about this week. It's not looking good for them.
I was hopeful. I thought like because Kamala herself was very very progressive, and then when when she became a candidate, she stopped talking about all of those loony wokey stuff. To me, I thought that that's an indication that maybe the Democratic Party understands that those shit doesn't sell, and I thought like maybe that means that they're gonna course correct, and hopefully after this election they're gonna abandon the progressives and maybe go in a more liberal route. But you're saying no, that I'm just being too optimistic,
No,
right?
I
Is
don't
that
think
what you're
so
saying?
because one thing when I was talking to you about this behind the scenes is that I think it is absolutely absurd that they expected us to believe that's true, actually.
Mm.
Because when we've been watching what Kamala talks about for the sake of her own political expediency for the past 4 years, all of a sudden, just because she's running as a candidate now, she stops saying that stuff out loud. She never really talked about how she was a woman. Okay, that's awesome. You know? Like that was a step in the right direction. So there was some awareness, but not enough because you know who would talk about it? Literally every single one of her surrogates on the campaign. So we're supposed to believe that this is not a talking point within your campaign and party just because it isn't literally coming out of her mouth. Give me a freaking break. Like everyone else who's a surrogate for you campaigning is saying it. Barack Obama is shaming black men for misogyny for not really showing excitement in the polls for her. Um, and besides that, one thing that's been frustrating to me lately is this idea that the party gets a blank slate when there's a new campaign. Um, like, am I legitimately supposed to forget the behavior of the party during 2020? Am I legitimately supposed to forget the behavior of all of the, highest in the Democratic Party and their behavior during the George Floyd riots? Like, am I supposed to forget that cringy freaking photo shoot they did where they all went and did like put a knee down where they're wearing the freaking kente cloths or whatever they're called. Like, this is I don't know, it's like with each campaign does not happen in a vacuum. Like, the feelings that I've built about both parties happens over years and over times and over lifetimes. Like, you don't suddenly get a blank slate when you're running a new candidate, and I'm supposed to suddenly forget the rhetoric you guys have been using in the immediate past. Like, it's not just, "Oh, like, well, this campaign was so good, blah, blah, blah." It's like, well, my opinions about you are not formed just exclusively off of what you've been saying in the span of a few months. It's the behaviors that I've been seeing over the course of years that inform my opinions about our political parties. Um And I just think that that's, like, an absolutely absurd way to, because that's how I feel like a lot of people have been doing analysis, like, just within the scope of the campaign that she ran. I'm like, "This is so much bigger than just one campaign." I mean, all that being said, um, as much as I could get a lot of amusement talking about the cultural issues and the cultural stuff forever. Um I do think that in reality a lot of this did come down to inflation and the polis just going off of economic vibes. Um Because
Yeah.
normal people don't know about economics. They don't care about what a soft landing of inflation is, like, they don't care that we did much better, than our economic counterparts around the world when it came to, this inflation episode. They don't care about that. We go on off of straight vibes, baby, okay? And the vibes were not good for a lot of people. So yep, those are my recent my recent thoughts.
I had a huge talk with Joshua about all of this, which will be released in 3 weeks. I will share it on our community tab when it comes out. Anyways, should we get to the first news or should we read the super chats
Um,
first?
let's see. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, yeah, let's go with the comments you highlighted first. Amikai is saying, "Oh, also happy birthday, Susanna. Keep an eye on Rocket for the free world and all the wonderful work that you do." Oh, thank you so much. Oh, Jean is also celebrating their membership for 10 months. Thank you, Jean.
Mhm.
Thank you for the birthday wishes. Um, read and then this person is just randomly saying Quran written by 30 to 100 authors over 200 years. Well, thank you for the super chat. Armin, on your knowledge, is this true?
Okay, so the Quran was written over a longer period of time than people anticipated, and it was written by a higher number of authors than people that the history. I mean, Islam says just there is no authors, but I don't know where this person gets his exact numbers. I just know the period of time is longer than people thought, and the number of people involved are actually more than what Islamic history teaches us. So that's true, but I don't know if these specific numbers are accurate.
Yeah. Um, okay, and Baristana is saying like the stream. Yes, everyone, please like the stream. It really helps the channel a lot and it's free. Um, and then this guy is
It's
saying Barack Hussein Obama is a Shia Muslim.
no.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.